Well, that sound means it's one time. Toter.
I'm from Oklahoma.
I'm back again today. Beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Had a steer open. So naturally, we're going to talk to one of my dear friends. I'm going to say co-creator of the Toter Tales podcast. He was a guy who said, you know what, you need to try this, you need to do it. Once again, as always, my man, Tyler Boston, said, take a chance. Try it out. Tyler Boston, ERS Gunite. For all your concrete needs, check him out. Waxahachie, Texas. He can build pools, lazy rivers. He can fix anything from bad decisions and broken dreams. Tyler Boston, ERS Gunite. Check out his phone number right here. On every opening of the Toter Tales, welcome everybody. Beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho tonight. Standalone steer open event. I had to bring back my first guest because although we had a podcast and a Toter Tales podcast, it wasn't really the Toter Tales. We did it at my house. And it's been fun. I like catching up with him all the time. He's a busy time of the year. Jess Tierney's with me today as always. He's a rodeo coach, Western Oklahoma State College. He has a booming multi-level marketing business now going. I mean, he's a busy man. And when we talk a lot about the Northwest, here it is. It's bubble watch, baby. I keep saying it's the fourth quarter. It is the last 2 minutes. We find ourselves on two completely different sides of the world standings in the steer roping. But it's been a lot of fun, a huge adventure. The other day I flew out. I know everybody saw my buddy Denard Butler, who we're trying to get in on this multi-level marketing as well. You know, he was giving me grief about taking my ropes. And yes, you can fly with your ropes on TSA. They're cool with it. Because honestly, they fit in the overhead bin a lot better than any other things. Like you put them in a rope bag, your rope bag doesn't fit. You got to check it. So you can't hurt these good Lone Star ropes. I just stick them right up there, baby. I coil them up, pull them out. They feel right as the rain. And I do love, because what happens though, every time you pack your ropes, first things first, you'll always have somebody give you this. Are you going to rope me? I'm like, well, absolutely, sir. If you don't mind, set your walker down and take off. I could use a practice one or two. You know, or the flight attendant did tell me no tying people to their seats. And what I really want to say is, well, I swear if this kid kicks my chair one more time, I'm going a wrap and a half and making sure we have a good flight to Spokane. I know that's a joke. I'm going to tell you, as a parent who flies with kids, now anytime a kid gets on there and starts screaming, now anytime, you get in the old boom, boom from the behind, all I do is I buy the parents a cocktail. Because that's my way of saying, I've been there. I feel your pain. Keep it up. You're doing great. But let's bring him on. My man, the timeless Turnip, as he's known in the steer roping world, Mr. Jess Tierney. Jess, first of all, welcome again. And welcome to the Toter. What do you think? I got the old signature look on it now. It looks a lot different than the last time we hung out here. What do you think of it?
It's beautiful, Coleman. It really is. And you know what? This does have a different feel about it.
It really does, doesn't it?
You know, the excitement and the stories when they come out of you live in the Toter.
It does. It's a lot different.
You know, when I'm watching it on my phone, which I said I'm a big fan. I don't miss one. And I love them. I love them on my phone. Don't get me wrong. But right here, live in action is better, buddy.
Well, that's what, this is, I guess the last time you were in the Toter home, we were at the timed event. And it's nice. It's comfortable, has all the amenities at home. But today I picked you up at the airport, Spokane, Washington. And this is kind of how you're going to pay me that diesel money, is by another episode. You know what I mean?
All right. It's fair enough. When diesel's at $5 a gallon, that's fair enough.
That isn't bad. But so, I think, what was your first take when you walked in, the signature look?
White and bright and very classy and clean.
Absolutely.
That just hit me right in the face right when I seen it. I love it.
Here it is.
Yeah. It was actually when I was throwing you some Chick-fil-A at Cheyenne.
That's right.
And you know what? Right. The thing about the Chick-fil-A, when you go, they lock you in. If it's going to take you an hour and a half, you're going to get your Chick-fil-A. You ain't getting out of that line.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk busy month. It's we're now just past Labor Day. I don't know why I can't get your camera to focus.
Maybe I just need to move with it.
Just slide that way. That's so much easier.
Improvise. That's what Cowboys do. We just make it work. We just improvise.
You're like an executive producer. So now you're back at college, Western Oklahoma State University?
Yep. We started back August 15th. Had our first meeting. This is a busy time of the year. We get the memberships in, get the cattle in, all the kids start getting to know each other, get their classes, start getting a routine for the year, and generally I don't get to come up here to the Northwest. I haven't been up here since 2016. That was the last year I come up. Love being up here. Great people, great rodeos, great committees, great places to rope steers and team rope and rope calves. Just always enjoyed coming up here all these years, just haven't got to. And this year, just things are a little different, so felt like I needed to come up here.
Well, let's talk about what's different. I mean, you've been up and down the standings all year. Obviously, you're roping great, headed back to your, how many finals? This be the ninth?
This will be my 10th one.
10th one, the double.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's, a community coffee cheers.
Bring it in.
To that.
Well, that had a nice sound to it.
But,
so
10 in a row. What have you learned?
Not in a row. Not in a row.
Your 10th qualification.
10th
what
qualification.
Have you learned? What do you wish you could tell Jess Tierney making his first one? The 10th qualifying Jess Tierney. What does he tell the first one?
I'd probably tell him the same thing Bobby Harris told him back then. Just slow down. Just slow down.
You know, I don't get that. In steer open, everybody's going, slow down. Hey, slow down. But then as soon as you put one on the mat, they start yelling, get to it. Hustle. Hurry. When your wife videoed for me at Cheyenne, we kind of had to have this discussion. Mr. Reed's a beautiful lady. Absolutely, I find out now why Jess Tierney's so successful. As soon as I get it on him, she's like, get to him. Get to moving. Get to hustling. What are you doing?
She's a motivator.
And I told her, I said, honestly, that was my going fast. That's Coleman, 230, moving at a high rate of speed. It does not look the same as Jess Tierney.
That was top end. But you know what? At Cheyenne, it was worth a lot of money. Whatever gear you're in, I'd put it in there next year.
Or
for
just
sure.
For life. I'm going to kick your camera off for a quick second and let it regroup. Oh, yeah. Now we're
You know, I was always told I had a face for radio. See, I've already broke your camera.
You're doing a great job. But anyway, so 10th, you're going back 10th. Right now we're sitting, what, third?
We are sitting third.
It's been kind of a dogfight.
It has been a dogfight all year. It's been that way all year. We've been, there's been a lot of guys swapping positions, and it's going to take a lot more money this year to make the trip and finals. There's getting to be a lot more rodeos adding that good money. That good money we're all after. So
and that's a great thing. I'm glad you brought it up. It's taking more money in everything, it seems. The team roping's taken way more than it ever has. The every event almost. And I think what's really cool, like in the team roping, you're going to have basically 2 headers break the all-time seasons mark. You're going to have Clay Trine. He's like at 143,000. He's only got to win about 7,000 more. Then he breaks the earnings record, and he's number 2. And Caleb Driggers is now got 210, 250. I think that's great that these committees have added so much money, and there's so much more opportunity out there now.
Well, and you're seeing the stands are fuller. The Cowboys are making more money, and contractors are doing well. The rodeo business is good business to be in.
Absolutely. So you're coaching duties have started back up. Here we are. Tell us about how many kids you got coming in that program.
We got 46 this year from Canada, all over the United States. A lot of Oklahoma kids come to our program. First rodeo starts up next week, next Friday morning in Colby, Kansas. So they're all going to get a shake at it here real soon. We'll get to see how things pan out.
We were kind of talking earlier. So your job's not just cheer the rodeo and all. I mean, it's not just the rodeo. I mean, it's teaching these kids responsibility. It's teaching them next level stuff.
Yes,
Talk
it
to
is.
us about when you get a green group of kids in. I mean, like what show up to practice on time.
Yeah, you know what? I've talked about this a lot over the years, and sometimes I just think the little things will make the big things happen. And being on time for class, being on time for practice, having your facilities clean, just those small things are what make a big difference as we mature and we go through. That's just the things that make us successful later. And sometimes I might have lacked a little of that when I was younger.
Absolutely.
And wish I'd have caught on some of them things earlier in life. So to me, I don't try to forget those small things, and I try to instill that in the kids as soon as they get there.
I think that's really neat too, because that's something that, like you said, maybe we didn't have that coming along. Maybe that's something a guy didn't learn as early as on.
I'm sure somebody told me.
Right.
I just probably forgot to hear it, Coleman. If I know me.
You know what? That enjoys it.
Oh, that was good. Where are they at? Oh, there they are.
It's a live show. I'm gonna give them a quick.
Boy, this is a lot of fun.
Look at that Toter. They've done a great job. I'm really trying to recenter your camera. I get you on every side of it except the middle.
That's all right. That's all right. The show will go on. Let me have a little freedom here, though. I want to brag on my man Coleman. There's not a lot of people that I've seen come through. Well, let me back up. When I started this event, it was about 16 years ago. And 16 or 17 years ago. And if it wouldn't have been for Buster Record and C.A. Lowry, it would have lasted about 3 weeks, and I'd have been done. But they took me under their wing. They let me go with them. They let me ride their horses, and it was just, they were really good to me, and they taught me how to win and get to doing it. This Coleman, I don't know if he just seen it on Facebook and just decided he wanted to do it. He just buys him a horse, goes to practicing, and he's got over 20,000 won this year. Very impressive year. I'm really impressed with what he's got done, and the season's not over. We still might see a national finalist out of Coleman this year, but the future holds great things for this guy. So make sure you're paying attention.
Well, I appreciate that. You know what? People did ask, like, Cheyenne had some luck, and it was like they had just assumed that I started on, Friday, slack was Saturday.
Right.
But no, this has been a lot of work. I mean, let's talk a little bit. You mentioned C.A. Lauer. You talk him into selling me my horse.
Yeah, he was adamant that horse was going to just live in Buffalo, Oklahoma the rest of his life. But so I asked him, I said, hey, would you want to sell Cheeto? And he's like, no, I'm going to keep Cheeto. And so we go on, we talk about other stuff. And then pretty soon, at the end of the conversation, I said, well, it's Coleman's looking for a horse if you happen to, know of one. He goes, have him call me. I like that guy. So that's how we ended up with Cheeto.
He's been great, and I think that's the one thing I could tell anybody out there wanting to start any event, be it, if you want to start steer roping, if you want to start team roping, go get a good horse.
Go get a horse that knows his job.
That knows more about it than you. Because Cheeto has kept me out of a jam or two. I'm not gonna lie, I have had the opportunity to get him in several. He's done a great job of keeping me out of jams, if you will.
Well, he's been in enough probably to know what's coming on.
The only thing about Cheeto I had to teach him, John Wayne and I laughed about this. Me and the Wahoo were out there on the ranch one day, and it's rained. We had a good spring. It's rained everywhere. Everywhere there's rain. And I rode Cheeto because I was really working on riding my stirrup. And so I would start him to the trailer, and I'd get in my stirrup, and then I would step down and let him come around me. Like I'd have the trailer facing this way, so he'd have to come around me and then load in the trailer. Because we were working on him coming under me, right? And so when I take off out in the pasture, I'm like, man, I love having a good ranch horse that can do anything. I could not get him through a water puddle. And I called CA, he didn't answer. So I got to get hold of K-Dub, and I said, K-Dub, I tell you what, Cheeto has seen everything. He hasn't seen much water puddles. He said there's not a lot of those out here in western Oklahoma. So that's awesome. No, thank you for that. That was great. But, we're going to have a little luck. Who knows? Our goal this year, I think it's important. Let's talk a little bit about goal setting, Yep. Because one thing when we started, and you said, what are you kind of looking to do? I just said, hey, man, you said you need to try to make
San Antonio.
That's the big thing.
Right.
So that became our goal, top 45. And looks like, wow, we're going to get that done.
Got that accomplished.
We checked that. Well, first, it started off, I want to be able to enter Cheyenne. Had to win $1 or enter 7 of them. Finally won $1.
That's right.
Bam. Then we went to Cheyenne. Now we're in the top 45. Now we got this wild hope and a prayer, let's say. It's a long shot, but I've been a long shot.
It's doable. Yeah, it's a long shot, but it's doable.
It's doable.
Especially for Coleman Proctor.
We're lucky.
Come on. I don't know about lucky, but you can get it done.
If I could sell this to Stephanie, how lucky am I?
Well, you are a salesman.
Speaking of salesmen, let's talk about your new multi-level marketing business.
Our new venture. It's for those of you that are just anticipating what it is. It's a company called Gobi that we got involved in about 60 days ago. It's a fuel catalyst company. It's helping us with our mileage, helping us with our horsepower, and helping us with our DEF fluid. Simple, affordable, reliable product.
That was beautiful. Now, how can people get involved? Let's talk. How do they just get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me. They can get a hold of you.
That's right. They can come right on in.
And if you're interested, just get a hold of us, and we'll talk you through what's going on. Pretty
my
exciting.
wife. We've actually put in her car a lot, and you see such a difference in her. And she was getting 18 miles a gallon, which would be great. I'd love to be getting some 18 miles a gallon. Put it in there now. She's up around 27 to 28.
Really good in unleaded fuels. Raises it from about an 86, 87 octane to about a 91. So you can kind of save some money at the pump right there by putting that other fuel in. More of a ethanol anecdote, if you would.
Gotcha. Yep. Because ethanol fuel is hard on stuff.
Absolutely, tears everything up.
That's why you see a lot of generators. The people park their generators for 3 months and then go fire them up. The carburetor's gummed up. Ethanol's
right.
all turned brass in there. I don't want to get too technical because I am such a mechanic, but that's kind of...
Yeah, a testimonial I have on that, and I guess we're not selling this. I'm kind of making a sales show out of it, but this is pretty cool. My Onan never does run all night. I go to Yuma, Colorado. I put a tab in, and I run it, and I actually had to kick it off at 10 o'clock the next morning. First time I ever had to do that. So pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool product.
Well, that's been incredible. Back to school.
Back to school.
Got a good team.
Got a great team. Yeah. Got some rough stock riders this year.
And
that's pretty exciting.
You were actually telling me you were a bullfighter.
You know what? We went to Southwestern last night. Mike Fineski, a buddy of mine, coach at Southwestern, lets us come up and ride some of his broncs. And got a kid from South Dakota come down. We got on a couple barebacks and a bronc. And last week we got some bulls that we didn't cut that we used to team rope, and now they're bulls. And I said, well, let's get on them, see if they buck. So, the exciting thing about coaching sometimes is just let's just see what happens here. Let's just see, because them kids got so much talent. I mean, they're going to get it done if it can work out, right? So this Jed gets on him, and he's bucking good, bucking straight. I said, if we could just get in front of him, we could get him to turn around, get you a little better practice. So I go to running after him, and I just can't quite get to him. And right as I'm reaching for him, he kind of does something. But anyway, hooks his finger back, swells it up. So, we just got to get over that now.
Got to be tough.
Got to be tough. That's right.
You know what? And one of my next guests is going to be Cody Webster. And so maybe we'll have a talk of outside the barrel with Jess Tierney and Cody Webster.
I'd probably just do Cody Webster. I'd probably be way outside the barrel. Yeah, I'd put him closer to the barrel if I were you. If you want some real bullfighting talk, that's where I'd put it.
Oh, that's incredible. You were telling me a great story earlier. You've had some world champions come through your program.
Yes, we have. We had a lot of NFR guys come through. We had Haven Midget come through there. Kyle Irwin, Jacob Elder, Trevor Kastner come through there. The Ward boys come through there. Frank Graves, Britt Bacchus. There's been a lot of champions come through Western over the years. It started back in 1972, so it's in a good part of Oklahoma where you get a lot of roping in and a lot of traveling in. And
you're not rained out a whole lot.
No, you're not rained out very much. In fact, 250 days a year, you might not be rained out at all. So but in one night, you might have 6 inches.
So you've had several world champions come through there, and we're going to leave it that pretty broad because I want you to tell a story about one world champion that you kind of had to line out.
Oh, yeah. Well, that there's certain obligations we have on the team, and if you don't get them done, it's just one of them deals where we just got to talk about how we're going to get them done, So can't believe you brought that up, but I guess we're going to talk about it now.
Hey, this is the Toter Tales, man.
So anyway, yeah, I called one in one day, and I said, Now
what was he supposed to do?
Well, there was two of them. They had to get the calves in, and they had to water the arena because it's supposed to come raining that night, big rain. I said, we're going to need a rope inside. We're going to need those calves in out of the rain. We're going to need that indoor watered with the sprinkler so that, everything's ready to go for practice tomorrow. Yes, sir, we'll get that done. So, anyway, I heard the rain about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I thought, boy, I better go check and make sure them calves got in. So I run down there. The calves are out in the pasture. The arena's dusty. And I lose my mind. And anyway, I brought it to the attention that we needed to get that done. It didn't get done. So anyway, practice comes along. I'm spraying the arena down with the hose, and I says, I see my two guys come in, and I says, hey, why don't we just unsaddle them horses? We'll have a talk here in a little while. So anyway, we lined them up and said, hey, you know what? I think you guys rope really good. You're doing really good. I love you boys, but someday you're going to win a gold buckle, and I'm going to call and congratulate you. But today you had to water the arena. That's your job, to water the arena. And I'll be danged if they didn't win the world the next year. So I called him. I said, well, I told you I'd call you. I just didn't know it happened this quick.
But that is the little things there, like they instill a little bit of integrity. We talk a lot about, especially you see it a lot with college kids. We kind of had that discussion about maybe there's some kids that come along that parents have done a lot, they've had a lot of opportunity. Maybe they're, the parents saddle their horses, whatever, you know what I mean? And it's their first time. It's almost culture shock. The way they're kind of thrown out there. You got to feed your own horse every day. You got to take care of everything. You got to show up stuff on time. And it gets to that point where you're like, hey, this is something we got to define where gratitude never becomes expectation.
That's right.
Let's be gracious about where we have this facility to practice in. Be respectful, show up on time. And I think that's something that gets instilled, that carries along. I mean, Trevor Brazil is probably the greatest. I mean, I don't think he was ever late to a practice. Jake Long told me this was awesome whenever he started roping with Clay Trine. He said Clay Trine said we're going to rope at 9 o'clock. So Jake shows up, and he said it is 8:55. And Clay Trine is in the head box. Steers are up, wrapped, ready to go. At 8:55, he is in the head box with a head rope in his hand, ready to go.
And I think he's a world champion, right?
That's exactly
right. That's
it.
I think any college team, any sport, and I can speak for the rodeo teams across the nation. I think that's just our responsibility as the next step from coming from the folks to the college to the real world. I mean, I just think that's the most important thing we can instill. and I just hope I hope it comes across that way. I hope that they understand that being on time, respecting people's time, and that's your teachers, your coaches, and everybody, and each other. Keep being clean, and being respectful of a place that you get to keep your stuff. I think that's important, and I think once you move into that next stage in life, anybody's going to respect that out of you.
Absolutely, not just rodeo,
and not just rodeo.
Your first employer, your first,
Yep.
That was a great, Miss Leah Harrington. We talked a lot about community coffee, about like what they want out of their endorsees, and I think a lot of that goes right along with what you're saying. Somebody
right.
They can put their name on, they can put their brand on, and it's
Yep.
going to have the right image and bring across the right idea. Because I'm sure you get it like me. People ask you all the time, what can you help me get a deal here? Can you help me get a deal there? Can you this and that? And it's like at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is help yourself.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
So,
show them what they want.
Last time we talked a lot about what do you look for in a college student? Has that changed in your mind? Has it maybe there's a kid out there thinking, man, I want to go try to get a rodeo scholarship. How do I get across to you? How does a kid try to come to Western Oklahoma State? And
I think the best thing you can do coming into any college program is first of all coming in with a good rap sheet, showing that you can go to school, that because it's school first. I mean, if you're going to come to a rodeo program, if you don't make the grades, excuse me, you don't have 12 hours, that's going to bring no use to the team. So coming in with a good history is one thing, and if you just want to be teachable and you're there to give back to what's been given to you, man, that you're going to get so much more out of it. I really am a firm believer that if you help other people get what they want in life, other people are going to help you get what you want in life. And I think as we move through this journey, and life is a journey, roping's a journey, business is a journey, everything we do is a new day, and it's always a journey. So as we move through this, I think being grateful and helping people around us as much as we can is just very important.
One thing Tiff and I were talking the other day about, sometimes it's good to be grateful for the setbacks. The challenges. The generator wasn't wanting to run the other day, and this and that. And I done some little tricks. I dumped this. I did that. I piddled around there. Bam, got her up, fired up, going. And she says, "Wow, you're very mechanical." I said, "No, I've just had a lot of stuff break down over the years, And you kind of start picking it up. And I think there becomes a point that we have to be grateful for the stuff that doesn't always go right, because that's always a chance for us to grow. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. I think you definitely learn from the things that go wrong. Whether it's in the arena or your generator breaking down, you're going to say, well, that nut needs to be in that hole next time or the generator's not going to run, So, I got to see that start on that steer. Coleman gave me some good advice this year. I've been struggling from time to time on my scoring, because, as you get through this year.
I love any time that you bring up, I gave you some good advice.
You did. This is some good advice because, and this is good. I mean, this really is good rodeo advice. So any kids got a pencil, you might want to get this out and jot it down. But as we get to this time of the year, sometimes the cattle are getting a little up and down. There's good ones, bad ones, middle ones. And golly, I tell you what, I'd see one go on pretty hard. I'd see a slow one, and then I'm like, what do I see on mine? He said, score the one in the steer. So, or score the steer in the chute. That's always something to remember, so.
I think that goes to, this time of year. I think it's the Northwest. Steers get a little roped out. Team roping, they get a little friendlier. They don't this and that. And I think the one thing we always have to remember is you have to react to what's in front of you. Keep your eye on what's in front of you.
That's right.
You're not running the steer that they ran in the first draw. You're running the steer that's going to shoot now. There are always advantages to getting a redraw. Now, don't get me wrong, there are. But sometimes you can not, maybe, like you draw a great one and not respect him enough, and then you mess him up, You see teams get knocked out of the tournament all the time at March Madness. A 16 seed beats a number 1 Kansas. I don't know if that's ever happened, but
does OU ever get in on that?
We are.
Oh, I didn't know.
We have made the tournament.
They still have a football team too, don't they?
They have an amazing football team.
Okay, I was just checking since that's kind of starting up.
It is starting up. So who is your team? Like you're from the.
I don't really have one. I'd like to say the Cornhuskers because I'm from South Dakota. I mean, I'm originally from South Dakota, so the closest big team would be the Huskers, right? And all my family's from Nebraska. Tierney's are from Nebraska. So I know you kind of curled your nose at Nebraska. Like, go back to '94. Play some Joe Diffie. Nebraska was good back then.
They were good. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law, they were at the game of the century. I think it was like the one where
when the one that Tom won.
The one
in 95,
that, I think
96.
Nebraska one,
Yeah.
yeah. So you don't really have a team. You just don't. You
Like
just
NBC
every
was there. It was
team.
huge.
Like Jake Long, he loves every team that's not OU. Whoever they're playing. Like
It really just depends if I have an OU fan in front of me.
Right.
Like
That's
you
what
or
I'm saying.
CA or JP Wickett. Like if you're around, I automatically like Texas. You know, you get Vin Fisher, I automatically don't like Texas Tech, right? So
you're a natural born antagonist.
well, I'm just kind of a chameleon when it comes to being a fan.
No, that's not a chameleon. A chameleon blends in. They go with the flow. You're an antagonist. Is it? I think that's because you're.
Do you have a
redhead.
dictionary in here so I
We
can look that up?
We can look that up.
That is a big word. Can you spell it?
I am a
Because if you can't spell it, you shouldn't use it.
ANTAGONIST, antagonist. I was a third grade
Wow.
spelling bee champion. Man, I'm back
I'm
in
gonna
school.
Google
I'm
that.
smart.
How is your schooling going?
You know what? It's been great.
About to wrap that up
4.0 all the way
15
around.
years later?
I am. Actually, I started 1 year ago, so this will be the big mark. I met Dr. David Paakey, who helped me get started back into school, and I will be graduated. I met him at the NFR last year, and I will be graduated before I run my first one.
You know, I heard rumors that you want to be a lawyer. Is there truth to that? Because
really
you would be a good lawyer.
I don't know if I'd ever practice, but I've always, I like the idea of law school. Like, I like the challenge of it. I'd like to try it off one time. But my father-in-law did not have a lot of respect for lawyers, so it kind of makes it hard to, put that.
Well, I don't know if I was supposed to say that, you know. But if you do become a lawyer, you can be my lawyer for like parking fines and stuff like that.
So
if
I
need to
just
try to
figured
get, like,
all the
public
wild
traffic stuff.
friends I've had my entire life, one of us was going to need to be.
Absolutely.
That was kind of always my joke, and then and then I always thought about being a doctor because Dr. Proctor sounds really good, but that is so much school.
What kind of doctor though?
So I married one. Because Steph's a doctor.
That's
so then
right.
Now it's Dr. Proctor.
I'll be damned.
Still got that. And so I don't know if that works if I kind of like Step Brothers, it run, just gonna take over the family business.
Well,
I don't know if that makes us both doctors.
Is there a Catalina wine mixer?
I do tell the girls all the time. I'm like, this is a house of learned doctors. You and your sister are hillbillies.
I'll tell you what, if you haven't had a chance to learn from this guy, he's a great teacher and an absolute blast to be around. If you got a kid trying to learn how to rope or you just need a place to hang out, Pryor Creek's a place to go.
It isn't bad, huh?
It is actually a great time.
How are your kids, by the way? Everybody knows about Stella Cambry and their exact ages.
2 and 4.
Mine
are the almost exactly same age as my youngest one. Trip turns 3 this month, and then Tommy Dale turns 5 in February. So, yeah, we got some pre-K going on. We got some potty training almost knocked out. You know, not with me, but with other people, he'll do it. You know, with me, he says, "No, I don't want to." I'm like, "You sure?"
Come on.
I don't want to. Okay, so.
So you don't talk, you don't sit there and take the patience and do it.
You talking about the potty training?
Yes.
Man, I tried.
Hey,
I'll tell you what we did. We just took clothes off for about 3 days, just to kind of figure out how everything was happening. You know, I thought maybe that was a good way to go about it. But that was just when it was just me and the boys. You know.
Right.
You know, it did work a little bit. You know, I think we kind of got to start there.
Well, speaking of you and the boys, so this summer when I got to come hang out with you, so I've never been to Paul Tierney's place. Beautiful place, beautiful part of the country. Honestly, I've never really been to South Dakota a whole lot. But when we stop in there, we're going to try a steer or two before the short round at Cheyenne, before the daddy.
That's right.
And I'm so excited. I'm going to Paul Tierney's. And now you got to understand, too, so Tiffany, huge Paul Tierney fan. So she's even more excited about where we're going. You keep checking your phone like we're late for the rodeo.
No, we're good.
Good. So, anywho, Jess he drops me a pin. He said, hey, just come right into here. It's easy to find, yada, 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 yada. So we're in the Toter home. We're just cruising on up through here. And when I tell you we come across some country, it is the most beautiful place in the world. Cattle guard. We had to get a set of replacement heifers that were absolutely beautiful off the gravel road. And finally my phone says, ding, you have arrived. You'll need to walk to your destination. And there is nothing.
It looks like Dances with Wolves out there, don't it?
For 40 miles, there's nothing that I can see around me.
That's right.
So I called Jess. I've called him 7 times. He hasn't answered. So finally, when I get you to answer, you say, well, I'm right down here.
We're open.
I'm right down here.
We don't have our phone.
And I'm like, there is nothing around here. And my favorite part is Logan. He's kind of from some desolate country. He said, well, where I'm from, you always look for the trees because that's where people build stuff.
That's
so
right.
we found a grove of trees, and there was a house. So we pulled up that way. And I'm like, hey, what happens if I just stay on this road? And how far? Was I 6 miles on the wrong
No,
side?
you were a while back there. I think it was more than 6.
I was in parts of it that like your dad had never been to.
No. Well, you don't go back there because it's government land. So
because it's illegal.
So let me finish this, okay? So we get him turned around, and
no, turned around. No, I just stay on the road.
Well, okay, because it did a big loop and it come back, right? Okay, so I said, well, he's on the biggest hill, hopefully, and I'm on the second biggest hill, and he's driving to the west. I'm looking to the east, so I'm just kind of scanning the horizon. Which, by the way, this is what I feel kind of spooked about with the new generation of my kids all the way to the iPhone era. You don't really get to learn like all the things like the Pac-Man games and the roller skating and the little things we learned growing up. Like, I got to scan this horizon for a reflection off a windshield so I can find my friend Coleman out in the prairie. That's what I'm thinking, right? So I'm looking, and I'm on the phone with him, sketchy service, and I'm just kind of using my peripheral vision, which I can't spell that word, but I'm going to use it. And I catch a glimmer right over here. I said, I got you. Keep coming. And he's just a little, and I just see it glimmering. And here he comes. At every hill he'd drop off. Here he'd be a little bigger and a little bigger. I said, okay, you're going to get down here. There's a guy baling some hay. Take a right. Follow me in. He said, you think he's still going to be baling hay when I get there? Well, sure enough, he's on the other side of the section, but he was still there. So, fun times.
It was good. But so my point to the beginning of that story was we finally made it there. You had the kids with you.
Yeah.
Your lovely
2
wife
weeks.
had to be back for some training, something else.
She had to start a new job. Yeah.
You were literally professional rodeo Mr. Dad.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, I watched 3 Men and a Baby before we did that, just to kind of get prepared for it. Yeah. It was great, father-son time. We got a little punching bag out. We learned how to tap, hit, kind of had to work on that a little bit. Man stuff. Yeah, we ate beef jerky and went fishing, caught turtles. We just did some fun stuff, Bought a pony,
Was it the most stressful buy you've ever had in your life?
Pony?
Buying my daughter's pony was the most stressful horse deal I've ever done in my life.
Well, absolutely. Maybe because I could see every bone in the back. Because I wanted an old one. Like, should make it home, we should be good. So, but it's been a great little pony for him. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And we caught a turtle. That was the big thing we did.
My favorite. So whenever you and Tommy Dale and Trip come to the house, hang out, and your president's son Cade
came. Yep, Cade Wigginton.
So we got the whole. We're up in the golf simulator room. We're getting it on. We're playing this and that. And Tommy Dale and Stella they're so cute together. Like they just run around. They cause all kinds of. And Stella's so proud, and she's such a gracious host. She's getting out all of her toys.
She's a lot like her father.
All of her toys are Barbies. That part is not as much like her father. And my favorite was, here comes Tommy Dale, and here comes Stella. And Stella is upset. Because we have 2 sets of the gloves that the girl from Frozen wears.
Oh, no. Did Tommy Dale have one on?
And so Tommy Dale has the full set.
Oh,
and we
boy.
can't find the other glove, so Stella only has 1 glove.
Uh-oh.
So when I tell you she's upset because Tommy Dale's got his Frozen gloves, he ain't giving his Frozen gloves up to Stella. Why would you? So when he comes running through there,
yours is mine.
Stella is mad. And I said, baby, what's wrong? Tommy Dale won't give me my Frozen gloves. And you looked up and saw me, and they are just turquoise to the sleeve.
That's right.
You said, Tommy Dale, come here. Hey, why don't we just use 1 glove? That way it looks like we're ropers.
That's right.
My favorite part of that whole thing was we went to the Slack at Claremore right after that. And, so that's like be right there where the last podcast. And we go to Slack at Claremore. And Steph tells Stella, hey, you need to take 1 bag of toys. Just 1 bag of toys. We don't need 2, just 1. So she comes packing 3 bags of toys. And she hollers. And it's quiet, 8:30 in the morning. Tommy Dale, I brought Barbies. And he's like, all right, Stella.
No, it's not okay.
And now you loved that.
Yeah, I said, I don't know. We're going to have to cut back on the Barbie deal here.
But you did get him an action figure right after that.
Absolutely. We went and bought every Marvel, Spider-Man, Batman, anything. Yeah. Real guns, fake guns, whatever.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That was my favorite moment.
I love my boys, though. They have a lot of fun. Wherever they're at, they have a lot of fun.
They blend right in.
They're
and
great.
They'll go
Good rodeo kids.
That's what, you show up, you come to the crowd, and you just say, hey, sit here and watch, you know what I mean? And they say, hey, if you keep an eye on them, they'll stay right there. They'll listen to you. They're great kids. They really are. You've done a great job. I don't know if it's you or Teresa, but somebody's doing a great job.
Thank you. You've done a good job too, Coleman.
Well, Steph's done a lot of that. And Grant, one time Stella, it was funny. She'd been ugly. She'd been ugly to Steph's mom, and said something, snippy, or I don't know where she gets such an attitude or mouth on her, but
should know here in about an hour near the steer roping.
So the favorite part was I asked her, I said, "Hey girls, why are we being ugly to Grant?" And Stella says, "I'm tired of her bossing me around." I was like, oh, that felt like it come from somewhere.
That's right.
I said, well, baby, here's the deal. Gran's the boss, so Gran gets to boss you around. And she says, "Daddy, I thought you were the boss." And I'm like, I like how you're trying to play that angle. You know what I mean? But
there's ranks around here.
I said, honey, unfortunately, no.
Yep.
Daddy's a little boss. Okay, Mama's the big boss, and Granny's the even bigger boss. So
that's right.
There's a hierarchy of stuff.
We both got great wives. They're
do.
back home working, watching kids. What are we doing?
Toter tailing. We're
out here toter tailing and rodeoing for a living.
Selling that goat and trying to make a living.
That's right. Selling that Govey, trying to rope steers.
Man, so it's going to be a great year. If I always like to take one moment, since you've admired our signature look inside the Toter home, we invite you to welcome home to Signature. But I want you to give me a signature moment of what advice, we've talked about what you would tell yourself, first finals. What is something that 16 years later you wish you knew when the first year that you've learned now 16 years later? If you could tell a rookie steer roper, or maybe just a rookie rodeo guy, somebody, you've reached the pinnacle of success. You're going to be fighting for a gold buckle again this year. I don't know of anybody to win as many go-rounds in a row at the finals as you did 2 years ago or whatever. What is something that you feel like the next generation needs to know? Like, what is one thing you could tell them?
Well, I love how you put me on the spot right there, and I got to think of something right away. But generally, if I was going to give somebody some advice, it might be more than one little thing, because this can be a pretty complicating sport. But probably the most important thing about steer roping or any event that took me basically till now to understand is use your horse. They let us have horses in this event, and become a horseman. You talked about Trevor Brazil earlier. That man's a horseman. He can ride anybody's horse better than they can, in my opinion, and he can ride the heck out of his too. So, yeah, you learn how to put your horse in a good position. Learn how to give him a chance to succeed, and use him. Let him pull cattle where they need to be. Let him lean on him. Let him be comfortable, and bridles and saddles and whatever you can do to make things easy for your horse, and use your horse. That's the most important thing you can do, in my opinion. And then, of course, you can move into a lot of other things. But that's my advice. If anybody's getting started in this event, for sure, go find a good one and have somebody help you learn how to use that horse.
That's great. Last time we fired off with this song right here.
What a great tune.
Isn't this great?
I have shared it with everybody. I even got to say, hey, listen to this. I can look it up on YouTube.
And then actually just said, hey, Whiskey Poet Society, that's them. Check it out. They got a whole bunch of great songs.
That's right.
They actually tagged me on Facebook and put their song on it. Like, hey, they must have recognized you from one of our first podcasts.
Yeah.
We do that. It's about time for us to go get to do a little steer tripping. It's
We're
funny. So I
30
go to
minutes
Lewiston. I go to Lewiston yesterday. I love how you don't even having to saddle your horse. Mine's already saddled, ready to go. Preparation, baby. We're on.
Normally don't mount out in this event. It's kind of a taboo thing to do sometimes. But you and I've been doing it this year. I'm about to ride his at Pendleton. He rode mine at Cody and Veneta. Taylor Santos can let me ride his tonight. And Billy Good's riding yours. You're trading out some runs with him, But so no, this is the first rodeo ever I have not had to saddle my horse.
Well, you're welcome. You're on a little more.
Just don't tell him we did a Toter tail. Maybe I was supposed to be saddling.
But anyways, like I was saying, they tag that. It gets me ready to go. I'm at Lewiston, Idaho yesterday, and I got to run my steer first. I got team rope first, and then I got to come back and trip and later in the slack. And I'm so excited. I got up on roping the dummy that morning, everything. And somebody asked me, Brenton Hall says, "Man, you liking that tripping?" I said, "It is the most fun thing I've ever done." I said, literally today, like when your mom said you got to eat your vegetables and you can have your dessert. That's like what heading the steer is now. Like that's eating my vegetables I got to go do a good job. I got to score sharp, spin the steer.
So the dessert steer
As
open?
soon as I face and unsaddle, steer open time, baby. That's so exciting. It's fun about the standalone event here. You mentioned Cody. Jess Tierney, I got to tell one of my good friend here. So he calls me up, and now mind you, I'm going to ride his horse that is absolutely the one that I fell in love with. It was,
right.
I mean, it's my first love of the steer.
He's the one that got you addicted.
That's exactly right. One steer. Elvis.
Elvis.
Well, Jess sends me, when I tell you, a booklet of a text message. All the things I can't do. Don't stay in the stirrup too long. Don't stay in there not long enough. Don't you dare do this. But hey, whatever you do, don't do that. Hey, only do this if he does this, or don't do that if he doesn't do this. Don't worry about doing this. And I'm like,
what about that other thing?
And then you were like, my worst part is we've just won $15,000 over the 4th. It's been a great week. Don't have the finals made. Like, we got to keep winning. And I'm scared for my life. I'm like, hey, do I need a doctor release? Like, because you're like, hey, if he's staying in that stirrup too long, he's gonna put you on your head out in front of him. So I'm like, oh my dear land. So I run the first one. I don't know what my steer is. They say he's really good when I walk in the box. Because I think though there's like a little bit of naiveness to me because I'm not very good yet, and so I'm not good enough for the steers to be bad. Like every steer in my mind is going to be awesome. He's going to take it, and then I'm genuinely surprised when he's not. But I come in there with that little kid mentality almost of like I can make anything happen on this one, right? Like I'm still
like a Sandlot mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I run my first one. I stick it on him, and I go to turn off, and I get off, and I have the reins in my hand like I've been working on not doing. I've got him in my hand. Poor Elvis shakes his head, jerks away from me. I had to put my left shoulder into him, bounced off of him, tied him in 13 flat, one out of the go round. Come back on the next one, and before I make it, like you were standing at the gate,
which is a new move.
Like my
throwing a shoulder into one. I like that.
Hey, whatever it takes. I got 230.
And I like how you say on your next Toter tail, it's all right. He'll get him fixed.
That's exactly right.
It's all right. He'll fix him.
That's what you do. There's a reason why you're number 3 in the world. So, anyways, I'm headed to the gate, and I swear he is standing there, just like this.
Like a dad at a junior rodeo.
I mean, I was like, before you start yelling at me, I was trying to get my left stirrup before. I was like, right as I roped him, I'm feeling my left foot come out of the stirrup, and I'm getting very nervous about that. So it all went down. But anyway, so then I run the next one. I try to get trapped, stay there a little longer. Did pretty good. Steer got up. Third one, finally I'm like, I'm probably not going to do a very good job. Your horse is probably going to end up going down the arena because I'm not very good. I step off. He's going to step down the arena. I just slap him on the butt. Get out of the way faster.
Hey, what I tell you when we left, though?
He'll fix it.
I said, I'll fix it. And rookies always do good at Cheyenne.
That's right. So the next place we go, Cheyenne. And then you've actually leased him to Corey Ross.
Yep. Well, Corey, yeah, he used him there at Cheyenne, and I made just Cheyenne. Yeah.
And so he brings him up, and here comes Corey riding up on Elvis, and we're riding out. You've just made your run. I'm like, wow, dude, you were like, what, 15 at Cheyenne? I'm so pumped.
That's right.
And, I mean, I beat you by a second and a half.
That's right. You sure did.
Might
have been 2, 3.
I had a better steer. Anyways, so we're riding out, and Jess looks over at Corey Ross and said, hey, don't think nothing of him, man. You just go make your run.
Well, the booklet I lost it.
I said, what was that about? You said, well, I've changed my instructions that you wrote it. And then Corey Ross goes and wins like 10 or 12,000 on him that week.
Good week.
At Cheyenne as well. So I feel like every time I get on your horse, like, so the next time I get to ride is Bonita. Did a bad job on the first one. Second one, like, I am mad. My curled hang's bad. I do a terrible job roping. I pick it up. Finally, I game trip. My reins are over my saddle horn. I've got my family's there. Like, all, you know what I mean? It's just.
And when he says family, he means extended family.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's hometown rodeo, man.
That's right.
I finally get the reins off, and I'm like, I'm tying this steer down. Like, the steer needs doctored, I'm tying him. So I lay it over there, and I trip him. When I get off, for some reason, I won't let go of your horse. I'm running beside him. I look like John Harrison doing his clown act. You know
We just didn't have that ribbon up.
Oh, my gosh. But, you know, then I fly back in for Henrietta, and you're like, hey, won't you try out Billy Good's Bay? And I got along great with that horse.
Oh,
That's
he's a great horse.
Amazing horse.
Yep.
It is fun,
Good
though.
horse.
It's something you don't do in the steer open a whole lot. It is taboo to be mounting out a whole lot. But we're going to do great at Pendleton.
That's right.
Have a big week at Pendleton. My partner's going to heel on him. We're going to win the busting on him. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Cheeto grew up in a pasture, lived in a pasture for 18 years, so
Here we
Pendleton
go.
will be his spot.
No tailback.
No what?
No tailback, huh? I've been keeping the tailback in him. I do. He does get kind of spoiled. That has what would CA say about when you called him and said you were going to ride him? What did he say? A cute little brand on his shoulder.
Yeah. He said a lot of things, Coleman. I can't repeat them all. Might want to remind him.
Well, hey, I just want to thank you, Jess. You know, I know you've checked your phone 47 times.
Well, I got these.
It's still 6:03, and You're going to do good at Pendleton, but if not, you are going to actually take a Greyhound back to Colby, Kansas.
Well, I haven't really figured that out. If it don't go good, I'm going to run down there and try to get me a ticket to Denver or somewhere and get back to the college rodeo. If it does, we're going to stick around and try to win some money.
Well, good luck the rest of the season.
You too.
We're looking for a Cinderella finish for me, and we're looking for a great finish for you. I mean, you're just a couple of you guys.
Well, you got the finals made and the team roping.
Absolutely, that's going to be fun.
We're just going to blow her to the finish line here and get into the snowfall and see how the year ends up.
Well, we're going to wish you the best of luck. I'm sure we'll do another Toter Tales with you before the finals. Definitely after the finals, kind of get you in and talking about it. Congratulations on all the great kids you got going down south. This has been my dear friend Jess Tierney. Good luck tonight. Go get them. Thanks for joining us again.
You too, Coleman.
Do you want to shoot them your phone number or just catch you? Where can they catch you if they want to hook up with the Gobi?
Oh, shoot. They can just get, they can get, let's go to Jess and Teresa's Facebook page. Jess and Teresa Tierney. Find me right there.
I didn't want to just throw it out there in case our 40 listeners, I don't want them all to have your
That's
phone
okay.
You know
That's okay.
But,
so.
Well, it's been another great edition of the Toter Tales. My man, Jess Tierney. Always a great time. He's so much fun. I want to remind everybody, check us out on Spotify. Jeez, I guess you guys have already figured that out.
Jeez, O.P.
That is exactly how it's going down. But this is Coleman Proctor reminding you, never waste an opportunity to make somebody's day better.